years ago, I had a problem with almost every person in my life at the same time. My friend was being difficult, my colleague was annoying, my neighbor was too loud, and my family did not understand me.
And then one evening, I was telling this to another friend, and she said something that stopped me completely. She said, "Have you noticed that in every single story you just told me, the problem is always someone else?"
And I wanted to say yes, because everyone else is the problem. But something made me stop and actually think about what she said.
And that pause, that moment of actually stopping and thinking, that changed something. Welcome everyone to Just Chat English Podcast. I am Jack.
And I am Ashley. And today we talk about one of the most uncomfortable but important things a person can do, realizing that you are the problem.
This podcast is for A2 and B1 level learners. Simple words, natural conversation, and if anything is unclear, just rewind and listen again.
So Jack, before we go further, I have to know, have you ever had a moment where you realized you were the problem in a situation?
Oh, yes. And mine is almost funny in how obvious it was once I finally saw it. For about 2 years, I had the same argument with almost every person I was close to.
The same argument? Like literally the same topic?
The same topic, the same words, the same outcome every single time. And every single time I finished the argument thinking, why does nobody ever listen to me?
And what was the moment you realized something was off?
I was talking to a new friend, someone who did not know my history, and I told him about a recent argument, and he just asked, "What did you do when they tried to explain their side?"
And what was your answer?
I realized my answer was, I kept talking. I kept making my point. I did not really listen to their side at all.
So the argument you were having with everyone was not because nobody listened to you. It was because you were not listening to anyone else.
Exactly. I had spent 2 years being frustrated that nobody listened to me. Well, I was the one not listening. And that was a very uncomfortable thing to see clearly.
But important to see.
Very important. And that connects to our first word today, reflect, which means to think carefully about something that happened, to look at a situation honestly and see your own role in it.
And reflecting is uncomfortable because when you look honestly at a situation, you sometimes see things you do not want to see about yourself.
Yes, it is much more comfortable to blame. And blame means to say that someone else is responsible for something bad, which is what most of us do by default.
Because blaming someone else requires nothing from us. We do not have to change. We do not have to grow. Everything is their fault, and we are the innocent one.
Yes, blaming is easy, and reflecting is hard, which is exactly why most people choose blaming.
I did this for a long time with friendships. I had a pattern of becoming very close to someone, and then, after a year or two, the friendship would fade away.
And what did you tell yourself about why that happened?
I told myself that people change, that life gets busy, that it was just natural. And all of that is true sometimes. But it happened so many times that I had to ask a harder question.
What was the harder question?
What am I doing that contributes to this? Because when something happens once, it is a situation. When it happens 5 times, it is a pattern. And pattern means something that repeats again and again.
And patterns usually tell you something about yourself, not just about the circumstances.
Yes. So I started reflecting on what I actually did in those friendships when they started to fade. And I noticed that I became very passive. I stopped initiating. I waited for the other person to reach out.
And when they did not reach out, you felt rejected, and you pulled back even more.
Exactly. A cycle that I was creating, but blaming on the other person for not making enough effort.
So you were contributing to the thing you were upset about.
Yes, and that was really uncomfortable to see. but also very useful because suddenly I had power. If I was contributing to the problem, I could also change it.
Okay, everyone, quick break. If you are enjoying this podcast, please like this video and subscribe to Just Chat English Podcast. It really helps us reach more people.
And remember, A2 and B1 level. Simple words, real conversation. Rewind whenever you need to. We are really glad you are here.
I think the hardest part of realizing you are the problem is what comes after, because then you have to be accountable. And accountable means you take responsibility for your own actions.
Yes, and being accountable is not the same as beating yourself up or feeling terrible about yourself. It just means you say, I played a role in this, and I can do something differently.
Which is actually empowering once you get past the initial discomfort.
Yes, because when you blame others, you have no power. You just wait for other people to change. And other people rarely change just because you want them to.
But when you are accountable, you have agency. You can actually do something.
Exactly. The moment you stop saying, why does this always happen to me? And start saying, what am I doing that creates this? Everything shifts.
I had that shift at work a few years ago. I kept feeling like my ideas were never taken seriously in meetings, like people just did not value my input.
And what did you discover when you reflected on it?
I discovered that I always presented my ideas very tentatively. I said things like, I am not sure if this is good, but maybe we could try, or it is probably a stupid idea, but what if?
So you were pre-apologizing for your ideas before anyone had a chance to reject them.
Yes, and when you say something without confidence, people hear the lack of confidence before they hear the idea, and they respond to the energy, not just the words.
So the problem was not that people did not value your ideas. The problem was that you were presenting them as if they were not valuable.
Exactly. And once I changed how I presented ideas, just speaking more directly and with more confidence, the response changed completely.
The ideas were the same, but the delivery was different, and that made all the difference.
Yes, and that was a really useful lesson because I had spent a long time being quietly resentful of colleagues who I thought were dismissing me, when actually the problem was something I could fix.
I think the reason it is so hard to see ourselves as the problem is that we only ever have our own perspective. We see the world from inside our own head.
Yes, we experience everything from our point of view, and from our point of view, we are always the hero or the victim, never the problem.
So it usually takes someone else to gently hold up a mirror, like your friend did for you, like my friend did for me.
Yes, the people who love us enough to tell us a difficult truth are actually our most valuable relationships.
And being able to hear that difficult truth without getting defensive is a skill, and it is a skill that takes practice.
The first time someone suggests you might be the problem, the natural reaction is to feel attacked and to defend yourself.
But if you can pause and say, okay, what if they have a point? Even just for a moment, that pause can change everything.
And the more you practice reflecting honestly on yourself, the less defensive you become. Because you start to see that self-awareness is not an attack, it is a tool.
And that is how you grow. And grow here means to become better and wiser through experience. Not just older, but actually more understanding of yourself and others.
Yes, because the goal is not to become perfect. Nobody becomes perfect. The goal is just to become a little more honest with yourself over time.
And to be the kind of person who, when something goes wrong, asks, what can I do differently? Not just, who else can I blame?
That is a very different and much more powerful way to move through life.
Okay, let's do our recap of the words from today.
Blame, to say that someone else is responsible for something bad, and how blaming is easy, but leaves you with no power to change anything.
Reflect, to think carefully about something that happened,
and how honest reflection is uncomfortable but always useful. Pattern, something that repeats again and again, and how patterns in your life usually reveal something about yourself. Accountable, you take responsibility for your own actions, and how being accountable is empowering, not punishing.
And grow, to become better and wiser through experience, and how seeing yourself clearly is one of the most important ways to grow.
Write in the comments. Have you ever had a moment where you realized you were the problem? What did you learn from it? Tell us in English. We read every comment, and we always love hearing from you. And if you liked this episode, please like this video and subscribe to Just Chat English podcast. Thank you so much for listening. See you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone. Take care.